The new Polynesian Island Tower, Disney Vacation Club wing of the original Polynesian Village Resort at Walt Disney World has finally opened, and while its disruption of the Seven Seas Lagoon skyline has been all that anyone can talk about during its construction, it's the alleged rack rates that have our jaws hitting the floor. But our mouths aren't the only thing falling to the ground, as tiles from Disney's original Polynesian Resort fall from the ceiling, which are ironically reflective of Disney's recent emphasis on DVC towers, while the rest of Walt Disney World Resort atrophies. Let's talk about all of this on That Park Place. I'll go ahead and talk about this little beauty. It's culture's favorite resort, Polynesian Island Tower lobby tour, generic exterior, beautiful interior, that's for sure. I don't want to limit it to just talking about the resort lobby. However, I want to talk about the value statement, the value proposition for this new Polynesian DVC wing of the original Polynesian Resort. That was the one that opened, obviously, in October 1st, 1971.
Yeah, the one that destroyed the amazing Luau venue and
Yes.
the Great Ceremonial House and all the other fantastic things that you were able to enjoy on this property. And absolutely destroy the wedding venue at the same time. This managed to destroy 5 or 6 things simultaneously and just add to the disastrous cacophony that is this property because of the many Pizza Huts that are now standing over the water that used to be an incredible beach that you could watch fireworks from. Do I sound happy? I don't think they sound very.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
From a certain perspective, those things on the ceiling, my eyes aren't great, and they kind of look like a dirty picture for a second. My bad mind, but anyway, there. But let me tell you, the best comment I ever got from this thing was when we were going by on the monorail with a guest who doesn't know that I'm on any of these channels. I don't think the guest knew me from anything, but I was just overhearing a conversation, and they go, we passed the Grand Floridian and the wedding chapel, and then they looked over and they saw this thing being built, and they said, what is that? Why is Disney building a Howard Johnson's here?
Oh man, that's rough. It does beg the question, because when you look at the actual tower itself, it does look like, a Gensler special, basically, with some Polynesian inspired decor, let's say. It doesn't really do anything to really align itself with the original Polynesian theming or its architectural style. It's on its own out there. But what displeases me even further, not just what this does to the beautiful sightlines that is Seven Seas Lagoon, it's also the price that they're asking for this specific resort tower. Now, this is a DVC property, folks, Disney Vacation Club. So primarily you're going to be buying into a contract that gives you access to this hotel for, 20, 25, 30 years, that kind of thing. So it's not really meant to have its rooms booked out like a normal, typical hotel would. Although you can. And I believe if you do that, the price that they're asking for this is insane. So here you go. I want to go ahead and give you one example. This is the Duo Studio that they offer right here. The pictures that you see, you might think, well, are we missing photos of this room to show more of this room? No, this is the room here, folks. This is it. Okay. You don't even get a bed with the Duo Studio. You just get what you see on screen right there. The bed is actually a Murphy bed. You pull it down every single night when you want to sleep, and you put it back up, obviously, because the room is so small that you really don't want that out there the entire time.
It's like those little rooms at the Riviera. The Riviera also has rooms like that are like little tiny corners. Right. And I believe, what is the footprint? Like less than 200 square feet?
They're tiny. They're
very small.
They're tiny, and they don't have any of the normal DVC amenities, and they're really just kind of a little, like, we have this corner tower space we've got to figure out how to use because dimensionally, the strange dimensions of those rooms because of the architecture, and that's the whole limitation of that hotel is because of the architecture they went for. So it's a disaster. Being in there is crazy. It's not efficient to move in there. You literally are crawling around or over things. The bed, the pull down bed that you see there, the Murphy beds, are at times dangerous. One of them actually fell during one of the preview events.
Ooh.
Yeah. And
That's so good.
they're several hundred pounds. And they're like I said, I mean, it's easy to injure yourself in this. Take a look at it. I mean, it's literally like we have to move the couch out of the way so we can have a bed. Because take a look, and it's absolutely insanity. So
but on the upside, there's a balcony.
Well, and that's kind of what I want to go into. I want to go into just how much a room like this would be, let's say, for preferred viewing. Now, Kyle Paulo, actually, a content creator here on YouTube, actually embarked on booking one of these rooms out that you just saw. And let's see what the price he paid for this. Let me go ahead and see if I can play this.
Which is going to be of the lake and the Magic Kingdom and the fireworks. It cost a little over $1,000.
$1,000 for that room, according to Kyle Paulo here. Okay. And what did he get for that? Well, he thought he thought he was getting a theme park view. But in fact, he's actually getting a preferred view. What's the difference? Well, you'll see here in a moment. This is the room tour again from his perspective. I'll go ahead and link this in the description of this video after we've concluded right here. You can also see the Murphy bed, him taking that down real fast. Let me see if I can skip to that so you can see that process and what that's like. Culture's description. Accurate.
There are no blankets
very heavy.
on it.
It's and
not to
it's
mention, there's
please go
also
ahead.
no outlets nearby. Sorry to interrupt, but I was just saying,
There's-
like, guys, how awful that'd be, and you can find that in like your basic motel.
Go ahead.
This Murphy bed structure is something that they started playing with in when I worked for DVC in 2015, and it was first used for kids Murphy beds, and then expanded to these bigger Murphy beds. They use it all over property now, including Pop Century.
It was under the TV. Like it looked like a dresser or like a cabinet, and it was under the television. And they would flip down underneath the TV, so you'd have the extra bed, so you could have a 5-sleeper, and whatnot. But that's great and all, but just consider this. I mean, $1,000.
And this is the view that he got. He thought he was getting a theme park view, folks. This is the actual view that he got for $1,000.
Wow.
Again, we're going on Paulo here. Not quite the theme park view that he was expecting. In fact, it's no theme
that's
park
gonna
view.
look like a theme park. Give it some time. Rivers of America is gonna start looking like that soon. Don't worry.
That's a great point, Nolan. That's fantastic. And I kind of want to go to you for this next part of the story, because the contrast here is, well, I mean, the newest resort hotel on property at Universal is going to be the Helios. And we've gone over this before, that if you're staying a 5-night stay, you can get it down to as low as $293 per night. In fact, if you were spending the night at the Helios during its opening, the weekend of the park's opening, I believe May 22nd, if I'm not mistaken, 2025, at Epic Universe right there, you can get nights as low as $493 a night. And that's a theme park view with 2 queen beds right there. The value statement is unbelievably different, as you can see right here. Nolan, I kind of want to go to you. Is there any value left or remaining at Walt Disney World?
Excuse me, is this what a real bed looks like? What it's like to sleep in your own little space?
You get not just one bed, Nolan. You get 2.
Oh my gosh. But no, seriously speaking here, though, this is a great value for everything. Like, I mean, it's like half the price. And not to mention, like, when we were trying to book it for our trip, we actually tried really hard to get it, and we couldn't even manage to book a night at this hotel because I think it's just that popular. It actually fits in people's budget where the economy is right now. And I don't have to pull out a Murphy bed and start feeling like I'm back in the 4th grade thinking about how hyped I am to get in a bunk bed. Like, it actually seems like something, an adult or a family will go, and there'll be a little bit of class to what they have. I am an absolute sucker for views of the theme parks outside the balcony. There's times like we've gone to like the Cedar Fair parks, and you are right by the beach and you look out your window and you see all the rides just lit up for the night. They're not even operating. You're just seeing the awesome view. every moment is just something you're going to cherish as a beautiful memory. And this hotel is going to live up to some great expectations. Is it going to have like the most crazy bells and whistles? I really don't think so. But I think they're going to work with what they have, and they're going to give a good value that's going to, it's going to kind of feed off of the park that surrounds it. Whereas I feel like Disney, they keep making the mistake of, we need the hotel to almost be an attraction in itself. And they're just wasting all this money in things that people aren't really going to get that excited about. How about instead of, I don't know, that fancy slanted roof at the top of the hotel, you could have done that and done something in the foyer that's, I don't know, like a giant statue of Moana or something like that. Something to give some flavor, because in this day and age, I'm a sucker for a good hotel. And a lot of these smaller chains have actually upped their game, and you feel like you're staying at a semi-classy place for a decent price. So I just feel like trying so hard to outcompete everybody, they've become like everybody.
Yeah, actually, they really have downgraded their value substantially, and I can speak about it because I can look at the difference between a DVC rate and a rack rate room price for like a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom suite, and all of that. And when you start to get into a single night in the $5,500 range up to almost $6,000 a night in a 3-bedroom suite, depending upon the time of year, and if you have a large family and you're trying to do one of these vacations, and you're spending, $20,000 to $25,000, $30,000 on a week stay with your family in one of these 3-bedroom things, that's not reasonable. It's you could rent one of the houses in Golden Oak for a month for less than that, and you'd still be on property.
I was going to say, there are so many beautiful multi-million-dollar houses, not just on property, but in the whole area that you can rent for a week for way less than $10,000, probably $5,000. Some of them. I have friends that own some of those houses, and they rent them out. And you have your own private pool, you have your own private bathrooms, you have your own private everything, and you're a hop, skip, and a jump away from Walt Disney World and the parks. And you have more access to go other places like Universal or SeaWorld or wherever the heck it is you want to go, maybe down to Legoland and Peppa Pig Land or whatever. It's just Disney is becoming less Disney. I don't know how else to put it. It's really weird because when you look at this place, you look at the theming of the rest of the Polynesian and the tiki theming that it had, and the luau that is gone because of Stories Matter, which is what I found out. It has nothing to do with the actual show or the value of the show itself. It has to do with the Stories Matter groups thinking that somehow the luau was problematic, which is weird because in Hawaii, they still do luau's with their people that live there. So, if I were in charge of Disney, the very first thing that I would do is get rid of the Stories Matter group because they're killing everything.
Yes, I would obviously agree. Go ahead, Nolan.
Oh, I just wanted to say, if we could say one more thing on the hotels here,
Please.
I really wish Disney would lean so much more heavy into theming their hotels, like do like a mini castle or something like that, maybe make it completely out of gold or theme it after some of their most popular movies, because it seems like the direction they've taken in this day and age is these are in addition to your Disney trip. I mean, like, as much as they're trying to make these things, their own thing, the reality is they're just kind of an afterthought. It's like, okay, we're going to go to the main parks and let's try to go for one of the fancier hotels we can get it, as opposed to being that thing that people are coming to the resorts and having half the experience be the hotel. Compare this to Universal, what potential they have. Could you imagine if they decided to lean into making like a Luigi's Mansion hotel, a Wario Gold Mine hotel? I've been on trips before where sometimes, like, as someone who's into like rail spotting and trains and stuff like that, sometimes half the experience is just where you're attending. If your hotel is themed after like a caboose or something like that, I
would expect those things to come at Universal, considering the How to Train Your Dragon rooms at the Helios. I would expect more theming like that. I would expect like if they can get the licensing from Nintendo to do it, the Mario Luigi hotel. I think those things are coming from Universal because they seem to know what they're doing over there. And Disney, I don't know if they are I don't know what they are. I want to say they're lost, but like they're clearly making decisions on purpose that are just bad decisions.
Well, they've been trying to homogenize their hotels for quite some time. I mean, I've been talking about this for years now,
Yes.
and that perceived value versus the actual value or realized value and all of that, they are relying so much on a perceived value just because of their brand, not because of the actual value that people can actually tangibly experience or enjoy. And part of that is removing the themed room items, right? The more rustic, authentic furnishings in, let's say, Copper Creek and the Wilderness Lodge and all of that. If you go around and you notice that they've just started to homogenize everything, and it started first with the Poly. To be fair, the minute they removed the giant waterfall in the center of the lobby and all of the amazing fish and everything else that was there that made that lobby feel authentic and unique and like you were truly visiting the island, that once that went away, once they put all those Pizza Huts out in front of the beach,
Right,
and everything else, you really tanked. Seriously, they're either that or mini hunting huts, but
But to be fair,
they're not quality rooms, by the way.
At the Poly, they replaced that great stuff with that like tiki idol from the Brady Bunch, and if you look up, a bunch of balls.
The fishing baubles, the fishing floats, but it's just, and those are actually glass blown fishing floats, but blown glass fishing floats. But anyway, regardless, they really downgraded not just the lobby, but also the furnishings and the appointments that were around that resort. And then, of course, they did the ultimate destruction, and they literally built a La Quinta Tower right next to, the Poly. And that's what this garbage is. And the only thing in here that they're tried to make a massive recovery with, because of the terrible exterior on this building, is this lobby space, and it's very, I don't know, bland. If you were to visit Hawaii, have any of you been to Aulani?
I have not, but I've seen.
It's a truly unique experience. Feels authentic to the island, and why? Because Joe Rohde is the guy that did it. They don't have a Joe Rohde anymore. They have super generic architecture freak show lady that really gave you this dumb building. Sorry, I used a bad word, but I don't normally say bad words. But I'm very irritated right now with what Disney is doing. And especially when it comes to their offerings, because Disney gave you the impression that they would always give you more, that they were all about your family and you could anticipate magic. Does this feel magical to you? In Aulani, you have the legends of the Menehune, which are, basically the leprechauns, the Hawaiian leprechauns there. There's a better way to describe them, but forgive me that analogy. But the Menehune are rumored to be in the hotel, and they have, art and other things and depictions and stuff throughout the hotel, amongst many other magical things. Aldo says, yes, but it deteriorated. I went last October. The new Island Tower looks like a copy from that too. Yeah. Yeah. I was lucky enough to have experienced Aulani, very close to its completion. So, but again, when I go through these properties and I look around, I would say, Aldo, not only are you right, but everything's deteriorated at Disney. They have no ability or desire to keep up with the maintenance. Everything's deferred at Disney. Even new things are deferred at Disney. Vash gave you lots of images just a few months ago of a deteriorating recladding of the bridge there in Fransokyo or whatever the heck they call that.
San Fransokyo, yeah.
So I'm like,
and that was new.
It was brand new. Well, why is this like gross and falling apart and cracked and damaged? And what is happening here? And again, we talk about the cast iron light post that fell over and all the other things. If you walk around looking at Disney, none of these things would be the way they were. They continually were recasting the sewer, the sewer plates, the drains, these things they were doing. These were things they were capable of doing. They were able to fabricate replacement parts on site at Disneyland and at Disney World for a time. So some of the reasons the utilidors are there aren't just so that you don't see cast members walking from spot to spot in the Magic Kingdom, because the backstage there really isn't a backstage. It's too open in the center because of the hub. But it was also for those purposes. There were machine shops, there were the mechanicals, all kinds of things that were well below your feet. Again, you're on the second story in the Magic Kingdom for much of the front part of the park. So, and since most people don't recognize that, you end up with things that are constantly hung up and deteriorated, and none of the skills got passed on, which is another problem because we don't rely on merit. There's no clear path to advancement unless you fill out these check boxes. So you got to start inventing new little names for yourself so you can get a leg up. So you are now poly weird crayon gender or whatever. And you're the only person in the company that checks that box. So you're real rare. You're special. You're a special little snowflake.
As the company spends all this money on DVC towers, Culture is exactly correct. They are deferring maintenance on their existing either resorts or theme parks. You can see right here, Singing Tile almost falls on guests at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort. This is the original Great Ceremonial House. Again, that's a resort that originally opened in October of 71. Oh, go ahead, Culture.
That was destroyed because of when they redid the lobby project, the volcano. And these issues didn't exist. If you got up early enough in the morning, these types of issues were detected before they ever were, an issue, and they were resolved. Right. You could see people working throughout the evening. Believe me, I know, because there were many sleepless nights for me at Disney World, at this hotel specifically. And the view's garbage now. You used to have beautiful theme park views from most of the theme park facing side of this, and now maybe 1/3 have decent theme park views now. It was all broken up by all the garbage that's there. Again,
very sad.
It was they did a very poor money grab, right? Very poor. They have 3 more spots along the lake that they could have developed that would have even led to more monorail traffic. That could have been just contiguous with the Poly right there into the ticket transport, or on the other side of the ticket transportation center. But they didn't do that. They have more buildable space. They have more buildable land. They just aren't using it. I mean, they're what, 5 more spots along the lake they can still build hotels on. I mean, you literally, if you make the walk from ticket transportation to all the way over to the Contemporary, you literally walk by 3 giant plots of land that are adjacent to the massive body of water there. And I don't know, guys. I'm feeling like maybe Disney's too bound by the idea of keeping it safely built within their quarterly budget structure, that they're not just massively building out, not just theme parks and hotels and things like that, which they could easily, roll into their infrastructure. I think it's all about squeezing the maximum amount of pennies out of everything that they do. I gotta shush it because we've only got 5 minutes left, so let me be quiet.
Well, no, I think your observations are very astute there, Culture, and really distill down, I think, for a lot of people who might just be hearing here or there about the problems at Walt Disney World, what really is going on with Disney just in general, and why their parks have atrophied the way they have. I go with Shogi with 199. There's no passion. These are jobs for creatives. Yes, I do agree, and we all agree. A lack of passion.
Can I just say, real creatives, not people that are creative about how they identify themselves.
No, that's a fair point right there. Ken Reinhardt with $2. Can't wait for Disney's Japanese capsule resort. That's
I could see that as a thing.
We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. If these rooms are getting any smaller, we're gonna be right there. Dan's Life at the Kingdom. Merry Christmas, guys. Polynesian holiday in with no continental breakfast. You're going to have to pay extra for that, unfortunately, which, by the way, too, I heard, from what I understand, the amenities at the DVC tower, this island tower, at the Polynesian, the original village resort, and the DVC tower, all the amenities are included for you. So you could, if you wanted to, take advantage of the Poly Pool, let's say, right? The very famous one that, well, actually Disney started to crack down on pool hopping because of, right? But the Polynesian guests at the Village Resort, they don't have access to the DVC's amenities. That's really interesting. I think that'll change pretty soon.
That's weird.
Something to keep in mind.
I also have to say real quick, there are hotels outside of Disney you can get free breakfast at, and the free breakfast comes with Mickey waffles. True story.
That's true. And also back to this very quickly, the pool hopping thing became a problem later and a lot of times with locals. So that was one of the reasons why that got buttoned up. But to be fair, California, the California Grand Californian Hotel in California's theme park, specifically the pool that's there, there's a pool area that's supposed to be specifically for DVC people that they just gave up and gave in to allowing the whole hotel people to use, which frustrated the DVC people, along with the fact that they pulled the free parking for DVC people that was supposed to be eternal for as long as they had their interest in the property, et cetera, et cetera. So Disney does go back on their word and even breaks their own contracts when it comes to DVC. So please check that out if you are a DVC member. Find out just how many things were taken away from you.
And here's the thing: if you're given assurances by your DVC, representative right there, better get that in writing, because there's all kinds of stuff that they've said. Oh yes, this, that, and the other thing, and then a couple of years later, those things aren't included anymore.
If you or a loved one have not received your Mickey waffles, please call the number on screen.
Exactly. Walter Tomaszewski, I believe, with the $4.99. Thank you so much. Why do park sewer pipes keep breaking? Disney's got enough money and techs to fix them. They do have enough money to fix them. The thing is how much money do they really want to allocate towards preventative maintenance, as Culture astutely pointed out there?
Yeah, they've abandoned their infrastructure maintenance. They've been able to get away with it for a long time because of how things were built originally in '71, or actually early '70s or late '60s, early '70s when they built this park. So it's a little different. It's much like Disneyland. Disneyland was basically bulletproof until about 94, 95 when they had to invest a bunch more money in infrastructure, and they continue to invest more money in Disneyland's infrastructure. In fact, that's where most of the money that they've all allocated or promised in the future. And this is something Vash and I have talked about, and we will again.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.